and welcome to Dungeons and Disabled. I'm Steve Saylor, your DM. I probably should mention this kind of off the hop, or at least, because I don't mention it in the episodes, and I always forget to do that. If you want to be able to know more about Dungeons and Disabled, go to dungeonsanddisabled.com. Not only just be able to follow us on social media and, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, but also we got a store with merch, like cool stuff that's there. And if you want to go check it out, please do. I always keep forgetting that. But we're here to be able to continue our adventure called It's Only Safe at Night. And I have my intrepid players here. Why don't we just quickly go around and everyone introduce themselves? Liana, go first.
We literally just did this. How did I already forget?
Just say your name. Yeah, just say your name. There we go.
My name's Liana. I'm here.
Welcome,
Dungeons and Dragons rocks.
Thorm, introduce yourself.
Hi there, my name is Thorman Gander, and I have short, fluffy hair, dark brown eyes, a little goatee, mid-tone, tannish complexion, and I'm wearing a purple shirt. That's for GCX and some gray pants.
Nice, cool. Mike, why don't you go next?
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Mike. I go by Mike the Quad. I use he, him pronouns. Today, I am still wearing a purple shirt and a black backwards hat, and I have shoulder length hair, and I am light tan complected.
Ellie.
Hi, I'm Ellie, or Elbel. I use she, her pronouns. I have blonde curly hair, a little bit past my shoulders, a big smile, and clear pink glasses, and a white shirt.
If I don't say a description, does that mean that I can just be like an oblivion vortex of doom?
You could, yeah, if you want to. It's all good.
The ominous voice.
Yes. Dreams do come true.
I love it. And I'll just say, the disembodied voice of Steve Saylor, the DM, is a platinum blonde hair, dark rim glasses, and blonde slash like kind of a reddish blonde, kind of a ginger, kind of a beard too. So anyway, and he can pronounce them. Anyway, hi. All right, players. Where we last left off, you were sent to the Azgul Keep to try to be able to find the crown of Natan and take it from this keep, who is apparently guarded by Lord Thalis, and which basically I think the roars kind of confirm it. There's a dragon somewhere, and as you were able to you grabbed the crown, and an intense battle kind of took place against a bunch of gnolls, and then also Lord Thalis himself, and you were able to take them out with relative ease. A little bit of damage, battle worn, a few of us here, and you're able to kind of descend from the tower and just barely escaped the sinkholes surrounding the castle keep, and you're now in the very long and large canyon, Azgul Canyon, as a lightning storm kind of it envelops around the area, and that is where we're gonna pick up. It is right now. It is about midday, so it is extremely hot and can be very dangerous to be able to in order to be able to. In order to be able to kind of travel, so because it's taken you several days in order to be able to get to this, and your routine was sleep during the day or travel at night, because that's how you heard into it. And there was a few encounters you had here and there within the desert, but you're able to make it to the Azgul Keep, and now you're trying to be able to make your way back. And as you're running down this canyon, I want as it happens, you start to hear the gate of Azgul Keep start to rumble and shake, and as it kind of slowly starts to open up, and you can kind of if you look back, you can see some breaths of smoke kind of coming from underneath this gate, and you then hear a And what do you do?
I'll worry about the sand later. We should just run like as far away as we can get from here. So which direction are we going?
But we can't run out into the sunshine, right?
Right now, you do have a bit of cover because there is thunderstorms around you, so you can run because there's basically for roughly around like 6 miles. There's this just thunderstorm that's surrounding the keep. So the heat isn't it's still desert heat, but it's like not intense that you can't you have to sort of like find shelter for right now.
Is it flat desert all around us?
Not quite. It is still like kind of a bit of rocky terrain. And there's some hills and stuff like that kind of within this canyon. But it's not like completely flat. It's not like basically there is a road or a path that goes through this canyon. But as the centuries of erosion kind of happen, it's sort of smoothed out a little bit. So there's pockets of like just smooth sand, some of which you can actually be able to see some of your footprints and wheel imprints from just literally a few hours before as you were coming up towards the gate or the keep. So it's just roughly about like just rough terrain basically.
Yep. So getting out of here. Yep.
Yeah. According to my calculations, wherever the noise is coming from, we need to go opposite of that.
Would it be possible to do the
Thaumaturgy?
Yeah, I can't say that to make sure that we're not leaving footprints behind us in the sand, so nobody can track us.
Yeah, you can totally do that. I'll just let you do that just automatically. You don't have to roll for it or anything like that at all. It just as you're kind of running, you kind of like just sweep your hand across, and you can actually be able to see like all of the footprints and wheel prints of in the sand behind you as you're coming out of the sinkholes. They also start to kind of disappear as well.
Amazing.
So I assume y'all are running.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm also going to pose a question to the chat, or not the chat, to the party.
Streamer brain, I get it. It's
Let's go, high brain!
So, do we want to try and look for cover, like a cave or someplace that we could stay not going deep inside the cave, but do we want to find something where maybe we could hide if we're able to cover our footprints, maybe get them off the track if there's something within a couple miles, because we don't know how long that storm cover is going to last.
I
think
wouldn't
that's
mind
really
sitting
smart.
down. I wouldn't mind taking a break. We should go do that. We can light it up too, so we can make sure we can just rest,
cool.
regroup.
I'm totally okay with that. I need to get some food in me after that. Those knolls.
All right. So I will say, you're going to be. I'm going to have you guys roll Constitution saving throws as you're running down this canyon, and I want you to roll 2 each. So, but we're going to start off. Liana, why don't you roll first? Your 2 Constitution saving throws.
I got 13 for the first one and 18 for the second one.
Okay, all right. Then you're so basically, as you all are running, for the first mile outside of this, going into the canyon, you're all kind of like just kind of basically keep constantly running. You might get stuck here and there, but as you're all running, Hawk just kind of like keeps throwing a thaumaturgy just to cover up your tracks as you go. As you kind of like look back in a bit of the distance, you can kind of see that the gate is not a super fast gate. It is extremely like large and heavy, and it's kind of like slowly kind of like rising up. It's about maybe like a quarter of the way opened. And now, Wicklet, I want you to roll 2 Constitution saving throws for me.
All right. So the first one is 21.
Okay.
And the second one is 22.
22. Okay, perfect. So for the next mile, as you run, you have you get you're pretty much smooth sailing as you're going. Like same routine. You know, as you keep running and rolling, then a hawk kind of like covers up the path behind you. You look back, and the keep is kind of like getting a little bit further in the distance. You can kind of see a little bit of the gates start to kind of open up. It's maybe just almost about halfway, but you're kind of like you're running faster now as you keep going. And then Dash, I want you to roll 2 Constitution saving throws for me.
First one is going to be 20.
22. Okay.
And second one, 4.
4.
Okay. Nat one, a natural.
With the nat 1. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so as you all are running the third mile, trying to be able to get outside this storm, and you're trying to also look for a cavern or some sort of a cave that you can be able to kind of go and rest in for the night, but you can't seem to find one as you're going. And then all of a sudden, like Dash, your wheel, one of your wheels gets stuck in the sand, and it's kind of like one of those where it just like
Again?
it tries to be able to roll, and it just like it kind of can't gain traction. So what do y'all do to help?
I'm gonna go and try and see if I can lift that back out.
Okay.
Now, is this sand like? Is it just the texture of the sand is preventing it from moving at all?
It's basically very loose sand, and it's just kind of like he's trying. Like his wheels are pretty. Actually, Dash, why don't you describe what your wheelchair looks like for the folks?
Yeah, sure. So this is a wheelchair that was created by my guild with the help of my guild. It is made of a special alloy called hepatizon. And hepatizon is basically like a rare, robust alloy it's like a blend of like bronze, gold, and silver, and it gives off like this dark purplish patina. And it has like basically four large wheels. They're like all-terrain type of wheels, and on the left it has 2 armrests. On the left armrest it has at the end of it bores like an amethyst crystal, and this crystal is imbued with this magic that was found in my mountain range, and basically it's like an energy source. And so as long as I have contact with it, I have like pretty much connected to this wheelchair and be able to control it. It sits me at like 4 feet. And I do have the ability to make it stand on 2 wheels only, which will only bring me up to 5 feet. So, just in case, if we need to like reach anything else a little bit higher. But that's pretty much. Oh, on the right armrest, there's like it doesn't look as much like the left one. It actually looks like a kind of like a pipe, more like a barrel that could like fit by about a dwarf handful of like pebbles, I would say, which I can use to detach, and as one of my other inventions to basically instead of throwing things, I could use this to create projectiles out of, and that's pretty much my my chair.
I like it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
No kidding.
So yeah, Wickley, what do you try to do to be able to try to help Dash get or anyone actually wants to be able to help to get Dash out of the loose sand? What do you all want to try to do?
I can lift this, but it's not going to do anything to prevent them from getting stuck.
I don't know if this is actually doable, but I want to do a bag of tricks to see if I can get an animal that's big enough to just escort the chair, or escort out, and then to also help if anything gets stuck again. We can just attach some of the rope we have left over, and it can
Kind of like a sleigh.
Yeah,
Sleigh
but like
style.
if we can get you
Yeah.
a tiger or something.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, that.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
you can totally do that
I
if
can
you
use
want.
part of my ropes to kind of attach that and create some type of like harness and make it a lot easier.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you can
cool.
totally do that. So what kind of animal do you want to conjure up?
Let's see. What do I need to roll for this? Do I need to roll anything for this?
I don't think so. Not for that. Which one? You're trying to cast?
The tan bag of tricks for the bag of tricks. It looks like I need to roll D8.
Yes. Then yeah, roll a D8 for me.
I got you. All right. Let's see what we got. Oh. Ooh, hold on. What is that? I got a 7. Oh, giant.
Okay.
Hey, giant hyena. So not only do we got
Hey.
strength because they're really strong, but we got the laughs too. It's best of both.
Let's go.
I love that. All right. So
I
yeah,
almost feel sorry for those gnolls.
It's gonna be a beautiful thing.
why don't you describe what that the giant hyena looks like?
Giant hyena is adorable. Got big old puppy eyes, big old goofy grin on its face. It just wants to help. It does an adorable little head tilt when it's ready to serve. It's ready to help out. Big as hell. Gonna eat a lot of food. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it's ready, and it's ready to help however we need him to.
Okay. And he, as he kind of like just tilts his head back and forth, you kind of start to hear a little bit of like just a slight little giggle from the hyena, and so y'all are attaching rope to what name would you want to give the hyena?
Rainy Gonzo.
Love that. Okay, so let's you all attach rope to Rainy Gonzo, and I will say let's do like 2 strength checks for Wicklet to kind of like you're behind to kind of push the chair out, and then for Gonzo to pull the chair forward as well. So I guess do you have actually the hyena stats there, Liana, or no?
I do not.
Okay, I think I need to pull that up. Yeah, so they have a +3 to strength. So roll d20 and then roll +3, and then Wiggly, roll your strength as well.
All right, strength for me is 17.
Okay, and what about Gonzo?
22.
22, perfect. All right, and I think like Ellie, you're just there to supervise.
Yes, knowing that I
perfect,
cannot help much with, I'm moral support. You got this. Nothing's chasing us. Everything's fine. We get beers when we're done.
It's okay. I got the strength for both of us.
Hyenas can drink beer, right? We're
Sure.
good.
Yeah.
We're
You
good.
can get drunk,
Right.
yeah. So as you're Wiggly, you're pushing, and Gonzo's like is pulling, and then I think Dash, you're also kind of like rolling your wheels too to try to be able to gain some traction, and you were just able to kind of like pull it forward. So now I will say basically anytime if you want to still have the hyena attached to you, basically kind of like as a chariot, Dash. How long actually does the hyena last for? Like, is it kind of like permanent? Is it sort of like I can't remember what the bag of tricks does. Let me just see. Let me
Ooh,
pull it up
perception
here.
+3 too. Nice. Ooh, that'll actually be good too to avoid any more sinking sand.
Cool. Yeah, there we go.
So I'm gonna take that as they didn't pay attention to detail, which is our advantage, and that means it doesn't ever go away. Protect them.
Oh, here we go. It says the creature vanishes at the next dawn or when it is reduced to 0 hit points. So you have basically 24 hours for Gonzo to stick around. So
What happens to her?
she just disappears. Goes back into the bag. Goes back into your bag.
Like a Pokemon.
Kind of like a Pokemon. Yeah, think of it like you just threw a Pokemon. Yeah, basically. The D&D equivalent of Pokemon, yeah.
Is that a mighty Anna?
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. Hey, I like it. It's great. You have a bunch of monsters in your bag. Yeah.
As one
D&D
should,
monsters,
nature's
yeah.
healing.
I love it. Perfect. All right. So then, in that case, with the hyena, also like you're kind of like leading you as if it's sort of like a chariot or a dog sled, however you want to think of it. Dash. Basically, you would only have to roll 1 Constitution saving throw for the next time I ask for it, up until 24 hours from now. All right. And then as also like this is happening off in the distance, you can now see a little bit more of the gate starting to kind of open and I want anyone who wants to roll a perception check for me.
Nat 20 plus plus 2, 22.
Okay. So basically, you look back and you look at the sort of the keep that's sort of like going off in the distance behind you. You can kind of see as the gate is kind of starting to open, a giant sort of blue claw just starts comes forward, and then followed by another claw, and their head kind of ducks underneath the gate, and kind of like just starts to shake its head, and all of you hear a
I think you all know what this is.
So last but not least, Ellie, why don't you roll 2 Constitution saving throws for me?
Okay.
See if you can outchase a dragon right now.
A 8 and a 19.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, for the next mile, as you're all kind of you're looking. Unfortunately, like because of the having to help Dash, you're slowed down a little bit. You're trying to be able to go over a bit more of it's still loose sort of desert, so it takes a little bit longer for the chair to kind of come through. But you're all kind of helping out a little bit, and then at this point, you can see, look behind you, the gate is now fully open, and kind of all walks out and just unfurls its giant blue wings. Is a giant blue dragon that now starts to flap its wings and is about to take off into the air. And I want anyone who thinks they have a good perception to roll a perception check for me, please.
Is he out of the gate, or is he still?
He's completely out of the gate now.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't trust my luck.
19.
19.
Three.
Okay, so because of that last successful Constitution, and with that perception check, you Wickley, you see off in the distance, kind of off this to the left, you see the cavern that actually you used the night before or the day before, and you recognize that's where you can be able to go and rest, and you lead everyone directly to that cavern. And as you kind of all rush to into the cavern, and kind of underneath a bunch of rock, and you're just kind of on the outskirts of the storm. You hear the dragon roar once again, and the sort of the flapping of wings as it sort of flies overhead and just barely sees you. And you are in this cave. You can see even a little bit of the kind of the charred ground and some of the little branches you're able to find from the previous night before or the previous day before of a bonfire that you had there. What do you?
I don't know if this would be a waste, but I want to do darkness, cast darkness outside of the cave so you can't see the opening. Or just inside of it, so it blocks. You can go into the opening, but it looks like it's a completely blocked off area.
I love that.
Would
Let's
that work?
see. I'm just going to see if anyone can sort of see the darkness from outside. Okay, so I would probably not suggest darkness, only just because it they'll just see this sort of this ball of just black around the entrance.
Oh, so super obvious.
Basically, yeah.
There's nothing to see here. You're fine. Just keep moving.
I wonder where the enemy could be. Big flashing lights.
Yeah. We're just that confident, You manifest that confidence. Fake it till you make it.
Yep. So if anyone
Then I
wants to
got
be able to find another way to be able to block the cave right now, I think you've used this cave before, so inside there's no entrances or exits here and out other than just the main one that you all kind of ran into. So the cave is safe, but it's up to you if you want to be able to try to find something to cover it or what have you.
Minor illusion only lasts for a minute, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I got nothing.
Got nothing. I don't think. I'm looking.
I know.
trying.
I'm looking, and I'm like,
It's okay. It's all good.
Maybe I can create. Basically, are there any other loose stones or anything that I could use to possibly create a false wall?
Yeah, I think you can. I can definitely see you doing that. You'd have to use some of your mason skills, but yeah, you can definitely, like, I don't know if I think you just basically, there's not a lot not like a huge giant like sort of stone that kind of like can cover up the whole entranceway, but I think with a little bit of time you're able to you find a bunch of larger rocks and that you think could work for you. And what kind of thing would you build with the tools that you have?
Just essentially, just a small, like, just a thin wall that we can, just basically push over. That if we needed to kind of use that entrance, we can, exfil out of there. But it just basically looks exactly like the terrain around from where the opening is.
Okay. And does anyone want to be able to help with that, trying to be able to cover up the entrance?
I'm
I'll
happy
help
to
with
do
that.
that. Yeah. And
Okay.
I'm happy to cast guidance too, so that there's just a little bit of extra oomph of being able to help.
Perfect. Okay.
That would help.
The only other thing I'm going to do before we start that is I'm just going to put on a mask because it's probably dusty in here.
Sure.
I was gonna ask, I can do the
Prestidigitation.
Press a
Yeah,
meow,
prestidigitation.
meow, meow, meow.
I'm really good at pronouncing words. Words really good. I can either do
We
it
all do
to
words
clean
good.
the area, so we've got cleaner space to rest, or if it's cold, I can warm up the area so we can actually rest and not have to worry about any achiness.
Temperature wise, it's still it's kind of in that like mid afternoon, sort of like in the early evening kind of time. So like it's not, it doesn't get super cold at night. It does get cooler in the desert at night, or even in the cave you've had before.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'd say probably clearing off the area like around sort of like where you previously had your bonfire and little camp. You can totally do that as well.
Let's do that.
So then for the wall, I'll say so because you're getting guidance from Aurora and with Wicklet's help, Dash, why don't you roll? Let's see. I would say because it's kind of using your own tools, so I'd say an intelligence check with advantage. And also guidance, which is what I think a plus
A
4.
D4, yeah. Plus a
D4. So, yeah, why don't you? Yeah, so I'll let you decide. Aurora, do you want to roll the D4, or do you want Dash to roll the D4?
I would say if you said +5 for you.
No, it's to be a +4 or like a D4. They
A
roll a
D4,
D4.
yeah,
whatever
so
that
roll a
number is.
D4,
Roll,
okay.
Yeah, you roll with advantage and then roll a D4 to add that onto it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then that would just be to click my intelligence.
Yes, yeah. This is to see like how well you are, like with your skills and
okay.
like with the stones you have available, and with your friend's help, able to kind of create this sort of, I wouldn't say like a smooth wall, let's just say, but enough of like building up all the, like, you knew the different kind of types of rocks that are needed to kind of like just pile on top of each other, just sort of look like like the cave, and sort of like the entrance that caved in, but enough that you can basically just push out when you need to leave. So this will be just to kind of see how well that wall looks.
All right. Let me go ahead and roll it.
15, is that including guidance? So if you roll a D4 as well.
D4.
Okay, so 18. All right, roll your intelligence check, because you do have advantage. See how well you do on that.
Oh my god.
Not good.
No, that was a 6.
Okay, so basically an 18. Yeah, no, you're totally fine. So yeah, you're able to, with all of them help, you're able to set up the wall, kind of like this rock wall that just kind of, again, it looks pretty decent, as if the cave had kind of caved in, but enough that you know which rocks to be able to push to kind of like just completely take the wall down, and you kind of like put them in a way that only you can be able to knock it down from the inside, and it won't, it's pretty secure on the outside, so no one can just kind of like just drop on in on you. So yeah. You all have the setup, and then Hawk kind of has this sort of has the camp all set up for you as well, and yeah, you have a bit of time to rest if you want to. It is or it's like mid-afternoon into the evening. And you haven't had a long rest in a bit. So it's up to you how you want to be able to what do you want to do at this point?
Who, me?
Anybody? What do you want to do?
I would love to pull the crown out and cast detect magic on the crown.
Ooh.
Smart.
Okay. All right. As you actually, is there a rule for that? I'm just trying to see. I keep forgetting.
For the duration, you sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of you.
Oh, right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You're forgetting. It's just cast as ever. Okay, so you could definitely tell that there is like a lot of magic in this crown. Kind of more focusing on the center gem, which you had a pretty good look at earlier, but to kind of reiterate, it's basically this blue gem that there's this. It's almost as if like the gold kind of lightning strikes that are kind of like embedded into the brass circlet itself. It almost as if like the lightning kind of like comes out from the gem. It's as if that's the center point of where the lightning struck, and you look and like you kind of like using your detect magic. What does that magic look like to you through your eyes?
It's really wispy. So a lot of it is like swirling, like if you were to see air moving, a little bit of sand. So a lot of it is like swirling, but it's blue and light, more like swirling snow than swirling sand.
Okay. So as you kind of look at the blue gem, it's almost as if all the sand and kind of like the swirling sort of like ethereal magic that's emanating from this one crystal. You can kind of look inside, and as the sort of the sand starts to kind of swirl around, you like what you thought you saw earlier, which was like kind of like little lightning strikes inside the gem. You now with detect magic, you can actually be able to see the different like little tiny sparks of just of lightning just kind of like emanating. It's not it doesn't happen all the time. It just every once in a while like. And it's kind of like just as if it's kind of like just dormant inside and can't sort of the lightning can't seem to get out, and yeah, you can tell like a lot of the magic is basically kind of imbued into the like I said, into the gem. But if you want to roll I guess an Arcana check for me.
So we're gonna cover the nightlight when we go to bed, right?
It doesn't give off any light, but it's yeah. If you look close, you can kind of see.
I'm not about trashing priceless artifacts, but I will. I will if it's gonna keep me up.
I rolled a 12.
A 12? Okay. So you can tell that there is also like a little like a bit of the gem that's there and sort of where it sort of sits, and then the brass that's kind of around the sort of the circlet of the crown. Using the knowledge of the arcane, you can kind of tell maybe that this sort of that the brass is used for something. Potentially, maybe it's a good way to conduct the magic and power that's in it, or you're not 100% sure. Like you feel like that. Without this like brass kind of circlet, the gem itself could it could do some damage. It's kind of like the brass sort of holding it in place,
Like a safeguard, almost.
basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you're all just kind of like sitting around the little campfire there, your little camp. What do you all do? Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Do we have beer in any of our packs?
I got some water.
We
That's
got-
about
we
as
got one
close
goal.
as I can get.
Yeah.
We got one goal. We got one look. And that's it. Beer.
Beer.
Continue.
I'd say, you know what, Hawk, why don't you roll an intelligence check for me?
Oh, I'm already to tell you how that one's gonna roll.
We're about to make some beer.
We're about to make some beer. 14.
14. You actually so you were actually prepared for this moment.
I'm always
You were
prepared.
saving a beer in your pack for when you were from you as a party were able to take the crown.
And just because I love you fuckers, you can have some too.
Oh yeah, let's go.
What does
This
this beer
little
taste like?
jackrabbit's about to get jacked.
It's just a little warm, but that's fine. It's fine. We've had worse.
Somebody got some nice little cold magic? Hmm?
I'm on fire, man.
God darn it.
I
you
do
had
not.
One job.
I had one job.
You had one job.
So I'm not the brains of the operation. I just have the cool drums.
I mean,
I don't know what we're supposed to do next. I'm looking at y'all.
I think we're all
I
just
got my
like,
beer. I'm good.
yeah, just resting around the fire if we've made a fire. You probably just see Aurora staring at this ground for a very long time.
Disassociation. I get
Yep.
it. We can just
Yeah.
pass the bottle of beer around too. Everybody just takes a sip. We're fine. We've all been there before. We all know what's been in each other's mouths. It's cool. We don't judge. We're close.
Oh my god.
You've had some backwash, it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's the flavor.
I've seen your exes. I'm willing to take that risk.
wow. Wow. Talk about a clapback.
Oh, yeah.
It's not enough to get drunk, but it's enough to get sleepy. I'm going.
Yeah. Does anybody want to take the first watch?
I'll take first watch.
Okay.
You take the hyena with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Very
hyena's still
small.
with you. Yeah, you can kind of just
Yeah.
nuzzle up against anybody who wants to, nuzzle up against a hyena.
Extra
I'll take-
set of eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
He just
I'll
kind of
take
like
second watch.
is cool.
I'll take third if we need it. I'll take third.
All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and take that nice deserved rest after getting stabbed a couple times and bit, and my chairs has been faulty, and oh my god.
Rough time.
All right,
Yeah,
so
rough, isn't
so Wicklit's first. All right, Wicklet, I want you to roll a. Are you all taking a long rest? Is that what you all decided to do?
I am.
I think so.
I'm old.
I will after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
that's
think
the
yes,
goal right for all
definitely.
you right now is
Yeah.
to do a long rest,
If
right?
it's been
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I need my Eldritch Cannon back.
Yeah. That was so
Fair enough.
All right, what do you want me to roll?
Roll a perception check for me, please.
Nat 20 plus 2. Or
Nice.
plus 2, yep.
Okay. So yeah, nothing happens. You can kind of hear, kind of off in the distance, sort of, the dragon is kind of like circling around the keep, trying to be able to find, look for something. Can't seem to find anything. You were able to maybe hear a bit of some knolls around, just off in the distance, but nothing has come close to where you all are. So what do you do during your watch?
I just sit back and, kind of just practice my combat a little bit, just right near the entrance. And I just take the time and play with the knoll. We play fetch with a rock I found, and they're just grabbing it, bringing it back, and we even play a little bit of tug of war with the remaining rope I have. So it's a
Nice.
good time.
Love that. All right, and then the time of your watch has ended, and who was next in the order?
I
Who was
was.
second? Okay, perfect. So your watch has ended, and it's now time for Aurora's. What do you do?
I sit there and it's a lot more just really still trying to calm down and just be like, okay, so that all happened. We got what we came for, and now the next part of the adventure is getting out. Probably just letting when she relaxes, the gusts kind of get a mind of their own, so there's maybe a couple little tiny baby tornadoes that pop up and not being as active with the hyena, but really just like if it wants to come and sit with me and like keeping a very distinct eye, but it is probably the exact opposite of Wicklet. Like just very, very, very calm and very quiet.
Okay. Why don't you roll a perception check for me, please?
I also rolled a nat 20.
Hell yeah! Awesome, love it. So yeah, you can. The gnolls have kind of like disappeared off distance. You don't like you can't really hear them at all, but you still hear the dragon kind of like circling around, but nothing like doesn't look like that. Dragon's able to find any of you, and you can kind of maybe like. You start to kind of maybe hear that the dragon's kind of like moved out further than where you've ran. So you can kind of like sort of piece it together that maybe like the dragon hasn't sort of clocked where you were. If they're kind of like now they're extending their search past beyond the sort of general couple mile area that around the keep. So okay, and then who's next in the order?
This guy.
So yeah, unless you want to chat between as we can wake each other up, or otherwise, what does Hawk want to be able to do?
Just chill, man. I got some good rest, feeling okay. Y'all didn't finish the beer, so I got a little bit of that. Got a little bit of leftover devil weed from the last town over, so gonna just relax and cuddle up against my hyena before it disappears forever. And yeah, just enjoying the night, reflecting, getting some nice needed solitude that everybody needs to recharge, and just kind of thinking about the day ahead.
Cool.
It's very chill, very enjoying the last few minutes, the quiet before the dawn.
Nice. All right, why don't you roll a perception check for me, please?
Alright. I have 18 plus 4, 22. Oh no, 38. Oh Jesus.
Oh my!
Wow!
Oh my
Damn. Okay.
gosh.
Jesus.
What? You see into another plane.
We're in the next campaign with that.
Damn.
Can I have the lottery numbers?
Yeah.
I feel like
Wow.
that's a mistake, but I will take it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Yeah.
Devil
So
weed's
you
doing the Lord's work.
I guess so. I need some of that.
Gucci King.
So yeah, no, you don't hear anything. Again, I think as the sort of the night actually like now we're in kind of into the night. Like I think for everyone's kind of like long rest. You're resting. Normally a long rest is about 8 hours of sleep to be able to kind of fully heal and everything. Y'all are like had a very long. You had basically a long day of previous. You're sleeping pretty much throughout the evening and like into the morning, so you're kind of past that. Like normally you would like sleep during the day, like travel at night, but you're kind of like doing it in reverse at the moment, just because you all needed the rest. But yeah, no, you're totally fine. And then I guess last is Dash. But
Get up from my nap.
before we get into
man.
that.
Plot twist.
Here's what I'm gonna have y'all do.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna kick everyone out of the recording except for Dash. I'm gonna take it back. All I want you all to do for tech wise is mute your headphones so you don't hear anything that's happening. And when you see you're being brought back into the call, then you can unmute yourself.
Oh man, what?
All right, we'll see you all in a bit. Hi, Steve Saylor here, interrupting this episode with our sponsor of today, which is us, Dungeons and Disableds. If you're interested in learning more about our show, make sure to go to dungeonsanddisableds.com, where you can be able to get access to our social links, as well as our previous adventures. Also, I want to encourage you, please, if you like this show, please go and review this show on any podcast platform, or leave a comment or a like, or rate a review on any platform you prefer, just to kind of help us out and kind of get the word out there as far as our show, and hopefully we can be able to bring in more folks who are interested in Dungeons and Dragons, but also from a disabled perspective. Also, this show is brought to you by our store, dungeonsanddisableds.store, where you can really get this kind of really cool logo t-shirt that we have, as well as you can get a hoodie, you can get a coffee mug, or a really cool leather bomber jacket, which is awesome, and including our very own RPG that I made called Pistols and Powers. You can be able to get all of that for dungeonsanddisableds.store and, help support the show as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Back to the episode already in Dash. During the night, you fall into a very deep sleep, to the point where you are you very quickly go into a dream, and you start dreaming of the workshop at the guild. What is the name of that guild, by the way?
It's the Tyrian Guild.
Tyrian Guild. Okay.
Yes. Known for it's being one of the most innovative guilds in the Chaurite mountain range.
Awesome. So you're waiting for this, you're with your sort of guild artisans. This is a memory that you've had before, and it's not exact. It's not meant like moment for moment exactly as it was. It kind of skips backwards, skips a bit forwards, and it's kind of a bit distorted. You do remember having a conversation with your other guild artisans and the guild leaders, but you know that you're preparing for a meeting with Lord Thalis. What is it? What is this discussion that you're having with the?
Well, this is around the time I was injured from an expedition while we were exploring the edges of the Chaurite Mountains. I unfortunately suffered a spinal cord injury from a tragic accident while traversing this rough mountainous terrain, and it rendered me unable to walk anymore. And the rest of the guild members, we brought me back to the guild, and before we had this meeting, I was trying to figure out what's going to happen with me. And with this meeting, there was an opportunity to acquire something, a special alloy, hepatizon. And we've worked with other alloys and metals to possibly create a chair that is stable and durable enough to traverse the rough mountainous terrains of the Chaurite Mountains, and nothing worked. But we had a small piece that was given through trade a while back, and it was only a small piece, not enough to build anything, not even an armrest for a chair. And with our magically imbued amethyst, we were able to harness this energy, and hepatizon was the only alloy that was able to withstand and retain its shape. And with Thalis was offering enough of this hepatizon that would help create a chair for me to walk again.
So the artisans, you remember parts of this conversation as, they're saying, Thalis seems to have a pretty wide reach, and he's able to, I don't know how he was able to grab or be able to find this great material, this hepatizon. I don't know how this even came about, but I think this meeting will go well. And as you're kind of discussing this and preparing for the meeting, Lord Thalis appears and kind of walks into to the meeting, and he kind of like looks around, and you kind of in that dream state. You can hear that they're talking, and you know what they're saying because you've been through this meeting before. Like you've already gone through this meeting. You know this memory pretty well, and you know even the outcome of this meeting. But it's kind of like this sort of murmur of like it's almost like you can hear like someone talking from underneath water, and then Thalis looks over in your direction and says,
Dash, it is good to see you again.
Thalis, Lord Thalis, how have you been? It's been so long since I've actually heard you, besides seeing you in that last battle.
Well, I have seen better days. You took something from me.
I thought this was something that was offered. I didn't take anything. You offered it to me.
No, I'm not talking about this insignificant metal. You took my crown.
What do you want to do with what do you need this crown? You know, we were tasked to take this. But I mean, you don't need this crown. This is.
I have been keeping watch over this crown for a very, very long time. But all I need you to do, put on the crown. Put it on your head. Receive the power of a god in your hands. Put on this crown.
I don't think this would do anything. I mean, it's not. There's no need for me to have this crown. I don't need this power. I'm doing good things. I'm inventing things. This crown won't do anything else.
This crown can give you power beyond the gods themselves, so you can invent things to be able to help people. You can turn this crown, you can create devices that can be able to help those like you. All you need to do is put on this crown.
But what are the consequences of that? There's got to be something more.
and at that point, you wake up. I want you to roll
Oh my god.
a Constitution saving throw for me.
Oh my. Okay. It's a 7.
7. Okay. So you didn't get a full long rest. You kind of wake up with a jolt from this dream, and yeah, I'll say that you are not fully healed. I would say you take 2 points of damage. Basically psychic damage. And that's how you'll start the day.
Oh my goodness.
All right, and I'll bring you back in.
I had a question. So I was at 18, and so now I take 2 from that 18, right?
Is that your full max health?
Oh, my full max health was at 22. So
Okay, so
I'm at
then
like
you're at 20.
Okay, I'm at 20. Okay, I'll just heal.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then so now you're gonna wake up, and now it's gonna be your turn to your watch. So I'm gonna bring everyone else back in.
Liana accidentally closed the tab. You can join in now. So Liana was like, let me know when I can come back.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. Then I can let her back in. There we go. Perfect.
Nobody saw that. It's fine.
It's fine. I didn't know what was going on. It's fine. All right.
We're pulling tricks on the DM too.
Yeah, hey, why not? Why not? So Dash, now you wake up. Dash, you kind of wake up with a.
Y'all were in here for a long time.
I know, right?
know.
Like what dastardly machinations are you planning?
Shenanigans.
So Dash,
It was a weird dream.
I know we're sleeping,
Yeah.
but still.
Well,
Yeah.
the only one who would have been up would have been
me.
would have been Aurora.
Oh, no.
So
Would have been-
Aurora. You see
I was asleep.
Dash kind of jolt up and kind of like wake up suddenly and.
No, I think
Chat
it
for a
was
bit.
actually, I think it was Liana, not me.
Oh, Liana, sorry. Yeah. So never mind. So yeah.
Man, I was asleep.
Hawk.
I was asleep.
I think you were on the watch. Your third watch. I was
Before?
second.
I thought Dash was on the. Okay, just
Okay.
kidding. No, we're good. We're good. Like
Okay,
I said,
yeah,
I was
sorry,
We're
sorry,
freaking all
I messed up the order. That's my bad. So Hawk, you see Dash as he's supposed to wake up for his watch, and you can be able to take your long rest. You see Dash wake up with a jolt and a like all of a sudden.
I throw my cup at his face and ask him if he's okay.
Yeah, that was a really weird dream. It's my turn to watch, right?
Yeah, I'm going to bed. I need you to get up.
Okay. But by the way, can I have some of that devil weed? I want to work on something on my chair.
I got you, man. I got you. Let me go
Sweet.
get that really quick. I'm gonna hook you up real nice. I'm gonna get you the good.
Awesome. And I'll hang out with Rainy.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You need anything before I go?
No, that's it. It's just weird dream.
You're good. Good night.
All right. As Hawk
I'm a
goes
very
to sleep.
sweet person. Okay, I'm maternal. Some need to even say like.
Oh, I know this is really fighting against your own
No.
personality. You're fighting hard, I can tell. All right, so yeah, as Hawk goes to sleep, Dash is now your watch. What do you do?
Is there a way for me, because there's a cantrip for magic stones, if there's for me to basically imbue like 3 pebbles with magic, and then I want to like tinker with my right armrest and kind of stuff those 3 pebbles into that barrel for later? Is that possible?
Yeah, no, totally. It's totally
Cool.
possible. Let me see. What I need you to roll for that one? I would say let's go with Arcana. Well, actually, no, it's not really necessarily Arcana. It's kind of like more of just a like you're just kind of like you're basically trying to imbue some magic into your right armrest, or is it just sort of like you're
It's just
more
in the
mechanical?
stones. Yeah, just in the stones. Yeah, the armrest is more mechanical right now.
Okay. Then I would say roll sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand.
Just kind of see how your hands are with this. So
That is a 9.
a 9. Okay, it's gonna take you pretty much the whole time to be able to the whole rest of your watch to be able to tinker with it, be able to get it. So by the time everyone will wake up, you'll be just finishing. But it would mean that you now have to roll your perception check at a disadvantage. So
Ooh, okay.
roll it twice and take the lowest number.
First is a 9.
And that's including your +3 for perception, correct?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. All right, and what's roll again?
And then the other one is a nat 20 +3.
All right, so basically, yep, no, everything's fine. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything from outside. You maybe hear like like a kind of like a low rumble of a roar off in the distance, but it's pretty late in the evening, like late, like early in the morning, late in the evening. It's very like in the middle of the night, and you can maybe tell like the dragon potentially could be sleeping. You don't know, but that's all you really hear. So as you're kind of like finishing up the last watch, Wicklet.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that grin. I think my devil weedness got like messed us up too, because I don't know anything now because I wanted to be petty.
I want to chat with you for. I want to chat with you for a minute.
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna again, same thing. I'm gonna take you all backstage. Hide, mute your mics or sorry, mute your headphones, and I'll see y'all in a bit. I'll bring you all back in. And Liana, you don't have to close the browser. You can just stay still. It's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. You're fine. All right, cool. All right, see y'all in a bit.
All righty.
Muted.
All right. Hello.
Hello, Wicklet. As
Yes.
you sleep, you immediately like with the past day, everything it just like your body is physically and mentally exhausted. You fall after your watch, you fall straight to sleep, and dreams come to you very quickly, and you start to dream of when you were little, and you were playing around with your friends. Why don't you describe what would you be dreaming about as sort of a childhood memory?
The Wicklet would get into a lot of, I wouldn't say like playground fights, but it was kind of like people wanted to test their strength. They wanted to act like they were the biggest and the bestest in the playground. And considering how small Wicklet was, that was something where they had to prove their might twice over. And so basically, Wicklet always wanted to like show the biggest and toughest bully who was boss. And so this kind of got them the name of the not the playground terror, but more so like the child terror in their general area, because they'd look up at adults, they'd look up at kids, and they would just kind of cause chaos, but they loved having all eyes on them. And so they kind of grew into that role as they grew up and would get more into like pit fighting, gladiatorial matches, and things of that nature.
All right, and as you continue to dream, bits and pieces of that of memory. It's kind of like a little bit, it's that sort of dream state. It's like you knew the moment to moment of certain like times in your life, as you were playing around and getting the fights here and there, and you remember those. But it's sort of like the dream kind of like skips around quite a bit, and all of a sudden you're now a teenager. And you're with one of your good friends that's with you. Who is that friend that you would be with right now?
That would actually be Thalis.
Okay. I think at this point you remember this moment well. Thalis basically is about has his hands up, you remember this memory vividly, and you can kind of it's a bit distorted, that there was other people kind of watching, but they're sort of faded and blurry off in the distance, all in this one sort of circle is you can see very clearly, and you can see Thalis a teenage gold, you can see his gold and kind of coloration is it's a bit faded because it hasn't really fully grown at full pigment as of yet, but it's a younger and you can see that he has kind of a large sort of horned a lot of horns in the back of his head. It's kind of pulled back, almost like it's as if it was a slicked back, kind of almost a tight ponytail, but the horns are kind of are just fully pulled back, and he's wearing kind of just a regular sort of tunic, and he's got his fists up, about ready to kind of defend itself. What do you do?
When Wicklet sees his fists are up, he goes low and he throws out his very powerful feet, because he's much quicker with his feet than he is with his arms.
Okay, why don't you roll an unarmed strike for me, please?
Let's see, 17.
17. Okay, so as you go low, do you use your feet or do you use your fists?
I actually use, I do a leg sweep, and I try to throw him off balance by attacking right at the ankle and sweeping from the inside of the leg out.
Okay, so yeah, he falls back onto the ground, and before he is able to even to get up, what do you do?
I immediately pounce on him, like just jump right onto him, letting my full weight sit into his chest. It's a hop from about 10 feet up, and I just jump right down onto him and then start hitting him with my fist, even getting up at one point to slam my foot down again on his chest.
Before you even get up, all was like you can hear the cries and moans of a teenage Thalis as you're hitting him, but then all of a sudden the world kind of goes silent, and Thalis looks directly at you, and instead of the teenage voice of Thalis, like his adult voice comes through, and he goes,
Wiglet, so good to see you again.
Thalis, is that you?
The one and the same.
What is this?
Don't you worry about that for now. I thought we were friends. You took something of mine.
We were friends, and then you went behind my back. You put me down to others. I thought we were friends, but you even made me seem like a monster to the person I was going to ask out. You were a jerk, not a friend. You may have appeared that way on the outside, but you wouldn't know friendship if it bit you in the behind.
That hurts. That hurts. I thought we would have grown past that.
Yeah, well, so do I. So do I.
I was honestly surprised to see you earlier today. I did not think you would come.
Honestly, I didn't expect to see you. I didn't even think you were anywhere near here. I thought you were still back at home. Why are you even involved in this? How did you get here?
I have a greater purpose here that no one understands. I thought maybe you might, which is why I know you took my crown. Why don't you come back? We can be friends again. We can be able to do great things. All you need to do is just put on that crown.
I'll give you one chance to be honest with me. I want to know two things. What is this purpose of yours? And also, why? Why do you want me to put on the crown? What does it do? What does it do?
My purpose is not ready to be revealed just yet. I'm not trying to be able to deceive you. I'm not trying to be able to give you false information. I am not ready to be able to share my purpose, or even my patrons' purpose. But if you wear this crown, if you put it on, you can receive the same power that can control God. It
But
can control
why?
things and you make you more powerful than we ever thought we could as kids.
But what good is a power if everyone fears you? What good is controlling a god? I mean...
We can do good things with this. We can help people.
But
like
we can
us.
do good things without it, too. We don't need the crown. We can already do good things. And your mission has gotten people hurt. How do you plan to
I have not hurt anyone since leaving Waterdeep. I have found that purpose. I have been here this whole time. All I know is to protect this crown.
What about those gnolls?
Gnolls are insignificant in the grand scheme of a greater purpose.
And that's why you're not fit to have a crown to control a god. You see others as indisposable. It doesn't matter who they are or what they are. And that is scary. What happens if people below you become insignificant, And you want me to trust you? And you want me to trust a crown? When I don't even know what I do with that much power. I mean, I'm powerful and I'm content. But I know what I want to do with my power. You don't. You can't even reveal your purpose.
Thalis kind of looks off into the distance and actually kind of gives some serious thought. Why don't you roll a persuasion check for me?
All right. 12.
12. Okay. So Thalis, after gathering his thoughts, turns back to you and says,
Disappointed you feel that way, Wiggler. I thought we could be together and as we once were. But I see that is not to be the case.
I mean,
and immediately you wake up.
Wicklet's kind of like exhausted and mentally drained from all of it.
Yeah, and I want you to why don't you roll a wisdom saving throw for me?
Let's see. Ooh. 2.
2. Okay. So you when you wake up again, you kind of like out of this dream, like again wake up with sort of like a jolt and a quickness of breath, and you were not able to kind of get your full long rest for the day, but like you were able to pretty much everything. Like you take your long rest, but instead of you're at full max health. I need you to be able to take away. You take 2 points of psychic damage.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And all right, and then you kind of wake up with the others as I bring everyone back in. I see we lost Liana again.
Did we?
We are back.
I don't see Liana again.
I think you left the call again. We see you're plotting.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? It's it's fine. It's fine. We're all fine here. How are you? So as you all wake up, it is as you all wake up, you all have sort of taken a very long rest. I'd say you were all very tired. You wake up about midday. So it's very like the sun is high in the sky, and you all kind of hear in like around the area, sort of a dragon is still kind of like is just flapping its wings and running around, and all you wake up pretty much at the same time, but Dash is sort of just finished. Like you see him sort of like fiddling with his chair a little bit, but then you also see Wicklet kind of wake up with a jolt.
What was that?
What was what?
I just, I had a dream that felt more like communication from, out of all people, Thalis, and well, it was they asked me to put on the crown. Look, I'll put it like this: I don't think any of you know about this, but me and Thalis knew each other growing up, and we were actually quite close at that time. But yeah, he kind of got in the way of some endeavors that I was looking for at the time, and I may or may not have pummeled the absolute crap out of him on many occasions. And
Valid.
yeah, but he tried to get me to come over to his side of things and return with the crown, and he wanted me to put on the crown to, as he put it, control a god. So just he didn't convince me, but it made me very, very uneasy. And it's also the fact that he can just communicate with me like that. I don't know if it was a communication or a dream, but it felt like I was talking with him, and he recognized me.
Wicklet, I had a similar dream.
Oh? What was
Thalis-
yours about?
Thalis came to me and told me to put on the crown. Said it would just give me this immense power to pretty much do anything I wanted. But I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't know what the consequences of doing it.
It was weird. When I was talking with Thalis, he tried to bring me over and tried to convince me to join his side, but when I asked him what his purpose was for using the crown or wanting the crown back, he didn't really tell me anything. He just said he didn't know, or he couldn't reveal his purpose. And I may have then told him that he doesn't take people, or he doesn't consider things significant, and he doesn't deserve to wear the crown, and then he kind of just, piddled off and did his own thing. But yeah, he told me I could do anything. He told me I could be powerful. And, I mean, I'm already powerful. I can crush null skulls in, no time.
It's true.
But, yeah.
Why did he go to you second?
That's a great question, honestly. I mean, out of character.
It basically just lined up whenever you went to sleep.
Oh.
Okay. So I would have actually been
It was literally just the
I was
order.
like,
Yeah.
I love you and I miss you.
just don't look at my call history.
No, it was literally just lined up to whatever when you went to sleep. That's kind of what happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, honestly, I mean, we just have history as kids. We grew up in the same area, and we had very similar friends. And he may have also stopped me from going after somebody I really cared about at the time, and I may have pounded his face in a couple times for it. And yeah, but we were like this. We were tight. Wicklet tries to cross their paw, but it doesn't really work like that.
Did you ever think that Thalis was trustworthy?
Not at all.
I'd say more. Oh, do you know Thalis from way back?
Not so far back, Wicklet. It's the reason I have this chair is because Thalis made a deal to give me this alloy. And when Thalis came to me in this dream, I thought, maybe he wanted this alloy back, but it seems to be that he doesn't even care about it. There's something more sinister going on, and I don't know. I was uneasy on even making the deal to get this hepatize on, but I wanted to be mobile again. I was willing to make a deal, and I just said yes. But I couldn't trust him. I knew in my gut that I couldn't trust Thalis.
I was just gonna say, when we were younger, I mean, Thalis was always the kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call him a playground bully, but he was the type of person who liked to have people under him, taking care of things and making sure that he was on top. He liked to be the one in charge, and he was a lot of times willing to do that at any cost necessary. And once or twice, it did get some of the kids seriously hurt, but I wouldn't say I trust him anymore. I mean, I was a very different person back then, but yeah, I don't know. I'd say I trust him anymore. And even back then, it was still just like we were close, but over time there was some very problematic stuff that began to occur, and I think he changed as a person, and that's when I kind of got out. It was when we were teenagers. He sounded very disappointed. Like, for me, considering our bond, he sounded like he was just extremely disappointed that I wouldn't join him in his endeavor, because it sounded like he wanted me to work alongside him as a partner. And I think I hurt his feelings.
But you protected yourself and this crown and us.
Mm-hmm. That's cause you're my peeps.
You
I
can
look
have
out
some
for
of
my
my
peeps.
double weed. I'll shoot you.
Aww.
Sharing
Just
the
for-
devil weed. This is question to GM. Would
Mm-hmm.
I know how trustworthy Lord Thalis is?
For you specifically, I'd say, without revealing too much, based off of what you know about the situation, or the thing that connects you two, it's not necessarily him that's the trustworthy part. It's sort of the connection that you both share.
Right.
That's the trustworthy part.
So since we had these dreams, myself and Wiglet, do you two have any connection?
Never seen the guy.
What about you, Aurora? Do you know Thalis?
Not personally, by association. Know of.
So we should be good. So what's our next plan of attack? Do we want to talk more about what we think's going to happen, or do we want to get on the road?
I mean, I don't know if there's anything really more I can elaborate on at this point. I guess figuring out our next plan of action, because when does the sun go down at this point?
At this time of the day, it would probably be setting within the next 2-3 hours.
And we probably shouldn't wear the cursed magic thing that we stole. So I think that's a good thing that we can all agree on,
I did.
right?
I did kind of analyze it while we've been resting, and it definitely seems that the crystals, the chaotic part, and it seems what's keeping it safe is the brass and the rest of it. It's holding the magic in. So I wonder if it's contact with that crystal to the brain, to the head, that's what activates it. I don't think we understand what activates it.
If, with that being said, as Aurora says that, if anyone wants to kind of learn more about it, or to try to think of kind of connect maybe some dots together, why don't anyone who wants to roll an Arcana check?
Wiglet would know nothing about Arcana.
Okay, fair enough.
I have Arcana. Let me out of character, but let me find the tab because I have like 50 up right now.
It's fine. I think you got like a +7 to your Arcana.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Is that D20?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Okay.
I hope,
So, yeah.
unless I do a
I'm
one,
sending
because
you
I
never
said
know.
something.
Sending
Oh my
you
god,
mail.
you shit my dick right now. What the hell? It
I think for
literally
next-
hovered and then boop.
Hey, the dice do what the dice do. So it's about, okay. It's a 9. It's fine. Dash, what'd you roll?
Here, let me.
Hurts.
Oh,
That does
17.
hurt. Ooh.
17. Okay. So with as Aurora says that, you or do you actually have the crown in your hands, or is it kind of like in your pack?
Yeah, I
at
probably
all?
would have pulled it out since we're
Okay.
talking about it,
So
so that I can see it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So Dash, you kind of like you look at the crown, and in your artificer sort of like inventor kind of brain, you start to you kind of, as she says, like, oh, like the brass kind of like maybe sort of is what keeping the magic in. You realize that the brass circlet is literally the perfect conductor for this energy, the chaotic magic energy that the jewel is, or the emerald is basically like giving off of. Like, it's meant to like whoever is going to wear this crown, it makes sure to keep the chaotic magic out and allows the user who puts on the crown to properly control that magic. If there was a crack in the brass, or if any part of the circlet is broken, it could unleash that chaotic magic to either whoever's wearing it, and they would have to really roll really high in order to be able to even properly try to control that back in again. Otherwise, it's just going to that power is just going to come out in any way, shape, or form. And you realize that's what the crown does.
So, looking at this crown, this absolutely cannot be damaged.
So smashing is off the table?
And we cannot destroy it. I think this is what Aurora was saying was that this is containing its chaotic magic. Using this, I see that it's something that anybody could wear it, and it, as long as it's not damaged, it won't. You won't lose yourself to the magic. So it really depends on the person that wears this. We cannot have anybody, especially Thalis, get a hold of this again.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that since both you, there's a lot of people stuck in sand in recent memory, that we should probably keep the crown probably far away from y'all's head, just to be safe,
I'm
planning
okay with
ahead.
that. I'm okay with that. Should we put this into like some type of container?
Not a bad idea.
I've just got my bag. That's it. I don't have anything else.
Anyone got a bag of holding?
No bag of holding.
I mean, I think, Dash and Aurora, I think you kind of would know, like Aurora's been in your bag pretty much the whole time, and it's, it's relatively safe. Like if you pack it down, and kind of make sure it doesn't move around or jostle in your bag, it'll be relatively okay. Because you guys didn't, I don't think you would have brought like a carrying case for it or like a box for it or anything like that. But you can be able to keep it relatively safe from being jostled around. So
Fantasy bubble wrap.
yeah, basically. The way I picture it is like you stuff some clothes in and just to kind of like just to give it a little bit of that cushion so that it doesn't break or that kind of thing or basically.
So destroying it is off the table then.
100%. We cannot destroy it. We need to, once we get out of here, we need to figure out where we're gonna place this under somebody's protection or hide it somewhere. But it cannot get in the hands of somebody evil.
Okay.
All right.
And then we can go get beers.
Oh my god, thank god.
Cold ones this time. We gotta be more specific with our manifestations.
Yes.
We'll
Or maybe
learn
one
that
of us can
lesson.
learn some cold magic so that we can have cold beer along the way.
I'll try to invent something that can that we can maybe cool these things.
I heard there's a fire genasi in the main city that makes a mean cold brew.
We take the crown, we go there, problem solved, right? Nobody's gonna expect us to go get cold brew. They're gonna expect us to want to hide this thing, so we'll just hide in plain sight. They'll never know. Nobody's gonna know.
Nobody's
That would work.
No one's gonna know.
That could
Sounds
work.
totally safe.
It's just between us.
Yeah,
Dude,
totally.
source, trust me.
Cool.
Yes, I would love to figure out how we don't have this in our possession and how we are not targets. That's...
Could we sell it and just make it somebody else's problem?
Well, you do know that the even though you don't really know the patron who basically gave you this mission to begin with, you do know you where you were supposed to deliver it to, which is one of the outlying villages of the Ustria Desert. So basically, kind of like where you sort of launched into the desert from. That's what you were supposed to drop it off there.
And what was our patron's
Liz.
name again? That hired us?
You don't know.
That's unfortunate.
It was like one of those kind of like job board sort of deals, and y'all thought it was kind of cool. And I think I think with the rumors of Lord Thalis and all that, I think that kind of maybe sparked a little bit of that's why you decided to do it, kind of thing.
We can definitely ask questions once we get there to deliver it.
Yeah, definitely don't think we should just hand this over, especially now that we know what it could do.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it over with. I just want to offload this thing.
Yeah. Cool. All right, what do you guys want to do?
Crown, man. Is this
No,
our
we
version
have
of
to-
Eat the Rich?
Is this our
That's
version of
pretty
what?
cool. Is this our
Eat the
version of
Rich?
Eat the Rich? our Misfits band of Eat the Ridge. Perfect. No.
All right, so as I think as you all kind of get ready, unless there's anything you guys want to talk about, I think we'll end the episode there as you're pulling away the rocks from the cavern itself. It's starting to kind of the sun's starting to go down. You can hear the dragon off in the distance, but nowhere near anywhere you are, and you're about ready to travel by night. And,
Bye, Rainy. We love you.
And yeah, as Rainy
Till
kind
next
of like
time.
before you kind of like just leave the cave, the Rainy kind of like just nuzzles up against Hawk on the Hawk's side, and as you sort of pet and give some nuggies and like in scritches, Rainy just kind of just slowly disappears in your hands, and the ethereal magic kind of goes back into your little bag of tricks. So and then that's where we're gonna end this episode for today. Come back next week. We're going to do part 3 of It's Only Safe at Night. I'm Steve Saylor, your DM. I want to remind you, if you want to be able to check out more of what we do at Dungeons Disabled, go to dungeonsanddisabled.com. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. And if you like this episode, you like this adventure, please give us a like or a review or a comment on YouTube or on podcasting services. If you want to be able to get some of our merch, you can be able to do so at dungeonsanddisabled.store. We got a few t-shirts, hoodies, and even like a pretty dope leather bomber jacket in there. And you can also be able to buy our one-page one-shot called Pistols and Powers, and you can be able to catch that there as well. But before we go, I wanted everyone to kind of say who you are and where we can be able to find you on the internet. Thorm, what about you? I'll start for you.
Hello there. You can find me on most socials at Thormangander, exactly as it sounds, which is confusing. And you can find me on Twitch, predominantly playing video games with alternative controllers such as steering wheels, DK bongos, DDR pads, and more, where I do full-time streaming and use it as a way to talk about accessibility, neurodiversity, mental health, and much more. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Perfect. And Mike.
Hey, what's up, everyone? You can find me at Mike the Quad on all socials, and you can see me now on Twitch playing through all of the Assassin's Creed games.
Nice.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. All right. And Ellie.
Hi, I'm Elbel. That's starts with a 3, just to make things a little bit confusing. You can find me on all socials. And I stream primarily on Twitch 3 days a week, where I let my ADHD be the caveat of what we play and what we do. But it always revolves around wonderful conversations, chatting about accessibility, talking about food, lots of laughs. And yeah, that's it.
Perfect. And last but not least, Liana.
You can find me on all socials at Don't Ask, okay? Don't judge and don't ask. Dirty F and Hippie, DIRTYEFFINHIPPY. There is a story behind it, okay? There's a story behind it. YouTube is where I mostly am now when I'm not working, and right now I've got a boner for going against corrupt execs in the gaming industry, calling them out by name, and getting devs resources to lawyer up. And still fighting a good fight with accessibility as well. And just doing cool shit in games. Making it a little bit brighter day by day, hopefully.
All right. And that's where we're going to end this episode. And we'll see you all next week for part 3. See y'all.